This is The Amazing Beauty of Creation. I'm Bilal Katrada.
And I'm Talha Katrada.
And this is the show that brings you up close with the universe around you. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the next episode of The Amazing Beauty of Creation. Now today we're going to focus back on the ayat in Surah Baqarah, the chapter of the cow, where Allah Ta'ala mentions, Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ard wa ikhtilafi al-layl wan nahar. So here Allah Ta'ala mentions three things. He says in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the third thing he mentions is the alternation of night and day. Wa ikhtilafi al-layl wan nahar. Now when we talk about the alternation of night and day, how does this actually happen? How does night and day actually happen? Now we learned in school that it's got to do with the rotation of the earth, but Tala is going to give us a little more detailed explanation as to how exactly this happens and what duration it takes. Tal, so what facts have you got for us today?
Okay, so rotation, as you said, is Earth rotating around its own axis. It's much like how a spinning top will spin on a table. It's spinning around that axis, and that rotation will cause the night and day cycle. As the sun moves, as the Earth will rotate, you'll see the sun rise. As it reaches the center of its rotation, the sun will be at midday, and then by the time it reaches the opposite end, the sun will be setting and it'll be night.
So
okay.
Relative to the earth, the sun is fixed, right? Yeah. And the earth is spinning. So that spinning, we see the sun, that's daytime. Then we spin away from the sun, that's nighttime. So that's how it works, right?
Yes. But yeah, relative to the earth, the sun is stationary. It's the earth's rotation that makes it look like sunrise and sunset.
Okay. So here's the thing. Now in the Quran it's mentioned وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرِّ لَهَا. The sun, the word tajri, in our previous episode we translated as functions, right? So something that's just functioning, but it can also mean moves. Like the word tajri can be used for in Arabic as something that's moving, something that's swimming, something that's flowing. So it seems that other than the earth moving, the sun is also moving, right? But tell us about that. It's not relative to the earth, is it?
No, the sun, it does move in relation with the entire galaxy, the entire Milky Way galaxy.
All right.
So the entire Milky Way galaxy, just much like how the earth and all the planets orbit the sun and all the other stars are orbiting the center of our galaxy.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that. So
yeah.
Night and day has nothing to do with the movement of the sun. It's got to do with the movement of the earth around the sun. All right.
Okay. Now, one rotation of the earth, we see it as one day. So from one sunrise to the next sunrise is one day, and the earth has completed one rotation. But this axis is not straight that the earth rotates on. It's spinning on its axis. If you put a spinning top on a table and you spin it, spinning top will be flat and it'll be spinning right on its tip. The earth is not like this. The earth is tilted at around 23 degrees, 23.5 degrees.
Okay.
So it's spinning almost sideways.
Okay, so you can imagine a top that's spinning, but the top is sort of leaning to one side.
To one side, yeah.
Okay, so that's how the earth is spinning.
And this causes the seasons, because at any point in the year, the earth will be, one part of the earth will be leaning towards the sun just a little bit more, and that part of the earth will be experiencing summer.
Okay.
At the opposite end of the year, it will be leaning away from the sun, and it will be experiencing winter.
Wow, just wow. I think we need to dedicate an episode just to the seasons. Think about it, right? The precise angle at which the earth is inclining has a bearing on the seasons. It determines the seasons. I can imagine if the earth was tilted a little more away from the sun, then that would cause havoc. And if the earth was sort of straight, if it was 90 degrees, if it was spinning 90 degrees to the sun, it was straight up, then we wouldn't have seasons. That's amazing. That's just simply amazing. Okay.
Now let's take a look at some of our. Let's let's look at some of the neighbors in our galaxy, in our solar system, right? The other planets that we share the solar system with. Their days tend to be a little bit more extreme if you take a look at it. For example, Mercury, the planet that's closest to the sun, its one day, one time it spins around its axis, lasts 58 Earth days.
One day is 58 Earth days.
One day.
Wow, that's a long time in the office, isn't it?
That is. So that is Mercury. Now, one step away from that, we have Venus, which is in many ways it's referred to as Earth's sister planet or twin planet. In terms of its day and night, it's not so. One day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days.
243 days per Earth day. Wow, that is a long day.
Okay. Now, Mars shares a very similar Earth time to us, daytime to us. It is 24 and a half hours, which is really close to our 24 hours. Then let's take a look at the giants in our solar system. Jupiter and Saturn share a similar day and night cycle of about 9 hours 55 minutes. Uranus, on the other hand, Uranus is a very strange planet in the sense that the way it rotates is its axis is almost pointed towards the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So Earth is only tilted at around 23 degrees. Uranus is tilted almost all the way to it's pointing towards the sun. And because of this, its time from one sunrise to the next sunrise is 84 years. 84 Earth years.
84 years. Well, at least on Uranus, an 84-year-old man can say, "I'm just a day old."
Yeah.
I'm just one day old. Now, this is amazing, right? In the sense that if you look at the extreme lengths of days on the other planet, and you look at the Earth's spin takes 24 hours. Now, let's think of an analogy of an egg in an incubator. That egg is exposed to the heating element or the light, and if that egg stays for too long on one side, the fetus inside can die, right? That egg can spoil. So that egg needs to be turned every so many hours so that it gets it gets properly warmed. Here's another example, right? If you're cooking something on a spit, you're cooking meat on a spit, and that meat is it's spinning slowly. If that meat stops spinning, or if it spins too slowly, then the meat will burn. And if the meat is spinning too fast, then it probably never will cook. Now, if you look at the Earth, right, the Earth is deriving its heat and its sun from its heat and warmth and light from the sun, and that the spin of the Earth is causing just the right amount of heat to reach the surface of the Earth at any given time. So no part of the Earth gets too hot. And on the other side of the planet, where it's nighttime, the night is not so long that it gets too cold. So everything is perfectly timed. These are very, very precise measurements. I mean, we marvel at the precision of a Swiss watch, and we say, well, this watch goes off by half a second every 100 years. People make statements like that about watches. But think about it, the Earth's been spinning for tens of thousands of years and never goes off. It just keeps spinning precisely at the exact same speed. Never speeds up, never slows down, just keeps spinning. And sunrise and sunset every day is at the same time. Every day, the duration of night and day is the same. So, we kind of glaze over these things in our lives. We look at how many sunrises and how many sunsets, but we never think for a moment of the precision at which these giant bodies, I mean, the Earth is huge. It's not a Swiss watch in a sense that it's got tiny little mechanisms inside. The Earth is huge, but everything is just spinning. Now, we know very little about what causes the Earth to actually keep spinning at precisely the same speed. But nonetheless, coming back to the spin of the Earth. So when Allah Ta'ala mentions something in the Quran, you must understand that it's something really important. There's something really important about it, or there's something really fascinating about it. And when we look at the spin of the earth, when we look at night and day from the perspective of how it happens, then we understand why this is so amazing, why this is so awesome. So there's a lot of precision, there's a lot of care that's been taken in making the earth spin at a specific speed, and also that tilt. I mean, that tilt, that's amazing. The fact that the earth is tilted away from the sun brings about the seasons.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened by chance? Is it even inconceivable that something like that could ever happen by chance? It's amazing. It's impossible that something like that could happen just by chance, just by some sort of fluke. You can almost see that in everything we've mentioned: the sun, the temperature of the sun, the size of the sun, the amount of hydrogen that's on the sun, the nuclear fusion that happens in the sun, the distance of the earth away from sun, the spin of the earth, the tilt of the earth. All of these things point to what? They point to absolutely genius design that went into designing and creating all of this at a specific measurements that supports life on earth. So this is quite amazing. I bet you never thought of night and day in that way before, and I don't think you'll ever look at the sunrise or the sunset ever again in the same way. Okay, so that's a wrap for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and our listeners enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. So yeah, catch us next time. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at AB of Creation to give us feedback on our podcast, and let us know if there's anything specific you'd like us to discuss in a future episode.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.